Hello, everybody.
Woo!
Martine, I'm feeling the vibe already. Are you ready for the
Yes.
ultimate
Oh my gosh.
classroom
It's
design challenge?
it's Thursday. It's all the fun things, all the times, and all the buttons and all the good stuff.
All
All
the
the joy
things.
of creativity. Yes.
Y'all, welcome to today's Adobe Live Education Edition. My name is Ann Cosma. I'm one of the education evangelists here on the Adobe team, the education team. And today, I'm coming to you, Southern California, Martine's up north, and we are jumping into two awesome ways you can use guided activities to set your students up for success and deepen learning. Martine, we've got some epic live demos today. Are you ready for this?
Oh my gosh, we have so much cool stuff. And I love that we are literally going in different ways at the beginning, but we're going to pull it all in at the very, very end. And like I said, there is so much new cool stuff that, that we've been playing around. So yeah, I can't wait to share this because, and it is like literally back to school time in all the wonderful ways. So I think today's project is really going to slide into what does that mean? Let's start looking at the future, first quarter, first semester, how we engage and let our students show us what they know in so many different modalities.
And I think that you just hit right on the focus of where we're going, letting students leverage creative pathways to show what they know, to celebrate, share, and showcase. Those are three big words I use all the time when talking about creating, digital content and digital media to celebrate learning in the journey. And these two demos we're doing today, literally, folks, this meant to help you supercharge the way your students can take ownership of their own creative voice, build their creative confidence, but also show what they know. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Martine, let's talk about some of the changes that have happened in product first, though, because I think folks are still discovering this as they're heading back to school. And we'll pull up my screen too and land right on that home page when
Yes, yes, yes.
into Adobe Express for Education. So tell us about some of these changes that took place while folks were on summer holiday here in
So as
Northern.
you can see, there's a lot more content, but more organized content. But the first thing I want everyone's eyes to is to look at the very, very top. As you're seeing on your screen, we have three tabs. We have create because that's how you should wake up for the world every day. It's like wanting to create. In the middle, you have teach. And then, of course, teach will only show up if you are a teacher. And then, of course, on the right-hand side is edit. So this is where a lot of kids is like, okay, how do I remove a background? How do I turn this into or how do I convert this into a PDF? How do I edit a PDF? How do I add, captions to my videos? All that wonderful stuff is all in one place. So we have create, teach, and edit.
And I think
Amazing.
I know it's so cool to see. I think that just for folks who are tuning in, this was done because of feedback from our educator community. And we love building the product forward with you. Your feedback, your voice matters to us as a team. And Martine, I know getting to hear, some of our developers and folks on the product teams talking about these updates were a way to simplify the platform to get folks
Mhm.
hands on to the tools, less clicks, but get right into product. And um, one of the things I love most about this teach page is this top left corner. And you'll notice it says monthly creative challenge. Martine, right? A monthly
Yes.
creative challenge, which is a fun way to not only build creative confidence, but upskill folks' familiarity with the product, how they click buttons in the workflow to get
Hmm.
into all of the different design elements. And then the top row is bookended with those guided activities. How much do you love these?
Oh my goodness. And I just got to tell you, I just came back from connecting with 300 amazing librarians, and they're like, where have you guys been all this time? They are loving this, right? and they're connecting with a lot of their friends, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been using these for a bit, and they're just amazing. But I love the fact that teachers can go in here and level up the skill sets of the
Yeah,
students, because
yeah.
every guided activity focus on a different skill set, and that's what we love. We love to really upgrade everyone's skill set, especially in creating. And like I tell everyone, it's like the more skill sets you have, the more you're capable of doing, the more creative. So we all know creativity is like a muscle, and these are like the exercises that you want to go through. But all I can say is they're very, very engaging for all of your students, no matter whether you're kindergarten or 12th grade, already putting together their portfolios, which we might have a little bit more to say on that a little later on in today's programming.
And if I scroll back down a little bit more, maybe something on screen, let me lift it up a little bit. Maybe it's right above me. Like maybe that's what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm not ready to jump into that demo yet because there's one more thing I want to share about some of the updates in product. But you talked about these. They're exactly that. We talk about them all the time, guided activities, and I'll talk more about why it's so dynamic when I launch the guided activity I'm going into. But Martine, do you see this little pop-up that says new on your left rail right there?
Yeah, yeah. What is new, Anne? Because that's what we love about Adobe Express. There's always something new.
Okay. Y'all, a pro tip. When you hover over something, you'll get the pop-up that helps identify what it is. It's a way to continually like upskill our own awareness of the product. But right here, the activities, it says browse ready to use activities, access inspiring teacher resources, and creative challenges created by educators, loved by students. So when I click on that, these were also updates in preparation for back to school. So, as we're launching back to school season here in the United States and communities are coming back from holidays or breaks in different parts of the world, at the top, beautiful drop down, quick, simple way to find activities for subject and grade specific. So, the real cool thing also, as you scroll down, you see those guided activities. Martine, can we talk about these standards aligned classroom activities for a moment?
Yes, let's go ahead and click on that one and click on the poster because
Okay.
I want the audience to see something. So right there, right? Look at the very top. So at the very top, it tells you, well, of course, what the title is, but then it says middle school poster. But I love the fact that we have the description, but even better, what is those magical words right below there? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have standards now. So we're talking about, the SC standards, literacy standards, CCSS, ELA, you get the idea. So for those of you, and we know there's so many of you out there, you planned your whole year, your unit, and you want to make sure that you have the right standards, or you are accenting, what you're doing with these activities. You now have a way to do that. Now, Anne,
Yeah.
this is just another pro tip. Before you click on that X, I want you to go, I'm sorry, go back to any one of them
Okay.
or the one that you had. Doesn't matter. So, two things, right? So, first and foremost, there's a lot of teachers who've told me this before, but you see underneath where it says created by Adobe for Education, you have a heart and you have a link. So the heart is like you don't know where this is going to go yet, but you can favor it and can always go back. Because what happens here is, of course, we are going to continue to feed you. Our great content team is going to
Mhm.
continue to develop these wonderful things. But if you're like, oh, I don't want to lose this because I have an idea, but I haven't, fleshed it out yet. I don't know exactly where it's going to fit. Favor it, and you can always go back and do it. Or if you're like one of those, like I used to put everything into one page. You can click on that link there, copy the link to that particular activity, and you can always refer to it back later.
I
So,
love that. There's one more thing I want to point out too, and I was just sharing this with some other educators in South Carolina. When you scroll down, you find additional templates. So not only can you leverage all of the education filters to find the right subject, grade level, or content that you're looking for, but when you scroll down, you will see additional examples of templates. Martine, to me, this is like, you know, not every day people want to go wading through a haystack of thousands upon thousands of resources just to find the right one. I
Mm-hmm.
love that I identified this because let's say I am talking about next gen science standard, 2.C, and I want to talk about using digital tools and those ISTE standards, or those are conversations with my PLN or PLC or my staff that I'm having. But maybe this one works for me, or maybe I'm inspired by a different visual below. So, folks, these educational resources are so dynamic for you. We had to call them out, but I love that you can filter by grade or content area. Martine, this was the one I shared earlier about illustrating
Mm-hmm.
idioms, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, no matter what, folks, in your classrooms, in your curricular areas, you're supporting your scholars in so many ways. Maybe you're a CTE teacher exploring entrepreneurship or leveraging, your English language arts piece of literature for storytelling or design elements, digital literacy, or talking even about things like digital citizenship, right?
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
of these tools are meant to help you help your students deeper the way that they create content that literally express and represent their learning. So I love this.
And to add to that, for those of you who have been with us for a bit, I want you to look at that button that underneath where it says quick assign. You can customize the right.
Yep.
Let's go back just one really quick. So
I'm gonna
just
go
yeah,
back.
right
Yep,
there.
there we
There
go.
we go. There we go. So underneath the quick assign, so assign, of course, if you're already used to classrooms and so forth. But underneath, I get this question a lot, is like, can we take that and customize something that we wanted? So, and the answer is yes, and it's right below there. So
Is
I
that
just
what I
want to make sure,
clicked on too fast? I clicked the wrong button for you.
but this is what happens at school. This is why we model, and this is why
Ready
we
for me to
model.
click it again? Go back, go into this because we got that question. How do I customize it? How do I make it my own?
Yeah, so let's say you have here, and for whatever reason, and your your go-to color is purple, or you want to have different text on there, whatever that might be, right? You can go in here and then change it around, and then of course you can customize what to whatever your liking is. It could be your logos, it could be illustrations, it could be the extra instructions that you want on there. And I've seen even this, which is now my new favorite thing. You can go to where the media is,
Yeah. Hang on,
and
I'm
after you
adding
click
my
on,
own custom directions. Here we go.
oh,
Right.
perfect, perfect.
Okay.
After you do that, you go to media, you can go to videos, and you can record yourself. So if you don't want to do that, a lot of teachers are like, my students, they never read my instructions. But if I put myself on video, they're almost forced to hit that play button
Yeah.
and hear the instructions that way. So, anyways, I just wanted people to be aware of that, because sometimes, folks, as they assign, they customize their template, they're like, maybe my students need this extra little piece of information,
Yeah.
so that way they can go ahead and do the project the way of their liking. But I love, 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 love all of this, and this is
You know
amazing.
that I have to say, if educators were going to record themselves using that record yourself feature, or, I'm a former first grade teacher, elementary school, sometimes leveraging the power of those animated characters as a way that you can share directions or instructions also. I've heard from middle school educators that they're like, the kids don't want to see my voice. They're more engaged when they don't want to see my voice. They're more engaged when I'm talking at them as like a flip flop, or, one of your favorites, I think, is that chunkla that's in there, right?
The chancla is, yeah,
I love
so
it.
many memories of a
Oh my gosh.
chancla.
Oh my gosh. Well, friends, that was like all bonus stuff because what we're going to jump into now is two live demos, and I'm kicking off the demos first. And we want to talk about the ways that you can use these ready to use resources to completely redesign and supercharge the way that your communities or the way that you design content or your students design content. So, Martine, one of the things I'm most passionate about, especially at the beginning of the school year, is community building. And so
Mm,
I love giving my scholars creative pathways to introduce themselves or help share who they are or their own unique identities. We have these beautifully diverse classrooms of kids that, think differently and learn differently and share differently and retain information differently. And all of that, amazing, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
also the way that we develop community connections and we develop like the community camaraderie or build cultures in our classroom. So I wanted to share with what is going to be the new monthly creative challenge. So folks, pay attention to that top left corner as we wrap up this month and we're getting ready to launch into a new month. You will see this constantly updated throughout the year. Martine, a super meaningful way to keep content fresh for educators to create monthly with, right? But also,
Yes, yes,
you will
yes.
notice the repository of them coming from the guided activities, and these guided activities, our team is constantly developing and constantly adding to so that you always have meaningful content. And that same thing, you'll notice that first spot, the create a portrait masterpiece, that was for August of 2025. And I hinted a moment ago, but this next one we're going to be surfacing for you is all about creating community quilts. And Martine, what I'm going to do is launch this and for a moment, really speak to what guided activities are. I could talk about these all day long. I could talk about this for an hour or
I
two
love
or
these.
three. And, there's 80 plus represented right now. And this new one is
Yes.
so cool because, again, framing this in community building. The example we have on screen shows you what a guided activity will launch like, the dynamic visual that exists on screen, and then Martine, all along that side rail is literally the Learn
Hmm.
tab, right? So folks, this example comes with a 2-minute explainer video. You can leverage the captions. You could pop it into full screen. You could pop it out and have it float on the screen. Martine, you and I have been in classrooms and communities with educators talking about how they use these videos to front load the project.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
use these videos to help them themselves develop that like creative confidence and how to use the guided activity. They also use it as individualized instructions for students, right? And I love that each of them is bite size. It's a
Hmm.
quick overview. And I'm not going to play this one right now, but I want to scroll a little bit further and show y'all how these directions literally provide step by step. So, Martine, are you ready to go through and create live together?
Yes, but before we do that, and I'm just going to reiterate of how powerful that is because we have different types of learners. You
Yep.
yourself are a different learner than your colleagues next door. And I love the fact that for students who need that visual, they have that video, they can move it around, pause and play. Teachers, you can make this, wide screen, full screen, I should say. And then, of course, stop at the moments where you want, if you want the whole group to participate at the same time. And of course, we have different languages in the closed captioning as well. It just lends itself to many different types of learners,
Yep.
all in one spot. And I just got to say this because I'm an ex-tech director, and one of the complaints I always used to get is, can we have bigger computers because of the real estate space that our student computers have? So up at the top Learn section, if you click on that X, it's going to take away the learn section. And if you're like me building IKEA furniture where like, I don't need these instructions. And then of course, 10 minutes later, I only have 3 legs on my desk and I need to go back to see how I can put the fourth leg. I need those instructions back. So up
Yeah.
at the very top, you're going to see that little light bulb. So if you click on that little light bulb, it brings the instructions back, ladies and gentlemen. So, but when you took that away, it's for students to have more real estate space so they can work and show their genius on their creativity project.
And I love showing that because in it, no doubt somebody's actually going to close that out and be like, where did it go? How are the directions? Literally, folks, it's clicking on that light bulb, which is just a brilliant reminder of how to relaunch it. Now, okay. So I actually, before I start clicking buttons here, I love to front load ideas when I'm working with educators and talking with students. I was a visual learner. I wanted to see examples. It helped me feel like getting my creative inspiration flowing. Martine, I have some examples ready to share first. So I went to a new tab. We're going to review these and then we're going to create live. How's that sound?
That sounds
Okay. Because I
amazing. I am
figured
always love examples.
yeah,
Yes.
I've got about 10 minutes that we're going to work through. But folks, I remixed this for my state project. Let's say this was, you're doing state projects around your social studies unit or your wanting to celebrate local communities or geographic regions or I mean anything, right? So right here, simple example of sharing this, and I'll get into the prompt when we go back to that guided activity, but this is all about California. You can see I generated an image in the state of California, including our state flower, the golden poppy, which I absolutely love. I think they're the happiest little flowers. Of course, you see elements of palm trees and beaches instead of it. The beach I included because I included my text. A favorite weekend activity is going to the beach. So, Martine, I'm sharing these examples again because I want to front load some ideas. So, state projects, geographic regions, right? This, a simple get to know you,
Oh,
right?
very cute.
I
Yes,
thought this is so
yes.
cool. Somebody wants to introduce themselves, share some unique examples of what makes them them, something they like or what they love to learn about. So, hi, my name's Ryan. I love playing basketball and soccer after school. And you can see the picture simply represents that. So, of
Hmm.
course, maybe these are good elementary examples, and we'll get into some that are maybe more appropriate for, upper elementary, middle, and into high school. But former first grade teacher here, I had to bring up phonics, phonemic awareness, how to help develop our students, whether they're coming in with pre-reading, emerging reading skills, or developing awareness of this. An ABC quilt, Martine, right?
I love, love, love.
How
This can go
simple is
so
it?
many different ways, but this is amazing. It's just and just just letting the people know I started teaching kindergarten in the late 1900s, and how much would I have enjoyed instead of what I used to do, folks, is I used to go to all the doctor offices in a 5 mile radius to grab all their magazines, and we try to make stuff with magazines and paper and glue sticks and all that fun stuff. But this, oh my gosh. This is so cool.
Okay,
So
well, I
cool.
love this because these literally, like, the guided activity is called Create a Community Quilt, right? But when we think
Hmm.
about community building and culture building and bridging that community into like the curricular expansion, this is literally a quilt square that kids are making, and every square of a quilt in a tangible quilt, if you think about people like crocheting them or sewing them, every quilt tells a story, right? So it could be a phonics quilt where every student is representative of a letter of the alphabet. I'm thinking of the ways that you could literally start to build that phonemic awareness, but also the creative outlet for it, right? And
I it, in my head, and when you saw this, it's like my head went to like science concepts, to
yep,
math concepts, like
yep.
how many obtuse triangles do we can we come up with? And there's just so many different ways. But I love the fact that you bring the community aspect to this, because community can mean a variety of things to students, but they get to share what is coming from inside them, and that makes it great because they're now showing their genius in so many cool different ways.
Well,
So I
and this
love, love, love this.
as an example, right? Because it's as simple then as clicking download, determining a file format. So, like, let's say you do have the ability to print these out and put them on a bulletin board. Or the one thing I want to share too is the ability of leverage that classroom gallery feature,
Yes,
Martine.
yes, yes.
So I
Love,
love
love.
this example. Our teammate Tanya shared the screenshot with me of like different students, and you can see this is a state project example, right? But
Hmm.
maybe it is all of those animal habitats, friendship quilts, historical eras, like science concepts. It could be anything, digital citizenship. I remember in my AP Chem class in high school
Hmm.
memorizing the periodic table of the elements as a song.
Yes.
But like, what about designing a square for the different elements? Social justice quilts are like historical moments or change makers that like are important to students. Literary themed quilts. Could it be anything? But I wanted to share these as a few examples because the one that we're launching from is, let me get back to the right one, this beautiful state quilt. So now, like, let's get into it and design together, right? And the one that I want to make in the few minutes that I have remaining for my demo, Martine, I'm thinking historical eras, or I'm thinking celebrating like inventions. Where do you think we should go with this?
Oh, I'm going to say, I'm thinking of it, but I'm also thinking of characters. My head always
Oh,
goes. I just came back from a spending 2 days with wonderful librarians. So in my head is like,
okay,
oh,
get it,
how,
do it.
yeah, yeah.
To me is a great pivot. And folks listening in, any curricular area, any content area, we're going to go into like a literary analysis or reflection, right? Cool
Hmm.
thing about that, every grade level literally celebrates reading. Every subject incorporates reading, the dialogue, the discussion. That's language, that's oral language fluency, it's vocabulary. It's like,
It's all the things. It's
okay,
all the
okay,
things. And what I love about this, Anne, as you're about to create, I always tell people this, it's like, when you're doing these projects, you're hitting pretty much close to all of the language arts. And people always ask this, Martin, what are the language arts? It's
same,
listening, speaking, reading, writing, and guess what? It's reading multimedia text. And then if we're consuming at 5, what are we doing at 6? We are
creating.
creating. So
Yep,
like I
yep.
said, it's all about getting all those skill sets into one project.
Oh
So
my God, love
I'm
this.
loving this.
Okay, so, folks, for the demo, what I want to point out, and I always share this when I'm working with teachers and students, when you click on different elements, you will know the left panel of your screen. That is how you see the different editing features that become available to you. So this is an image right here. So you see the image editor pop up. And Martine, this was created with the generative AI, like image tool inside of it. So it is this icon right here. You notice it's been engaged and used because you see the little like levers to begin to customize it. And you simply have that description box where you describe what you want to see. You see there's already text in it. The prompt for this says a colorful embroidery patch in the shape of Illinois, filled with the Chicago skyline, purple flowers, and a cardinal on a transparent background. And that transparent background is a key part of this description because it gets the outline of the state for you, right? So, Martine, do you have a
Hmm.
literary
Hmm.
character that comes to mind first? Because you know where I went in my head? Wilbur from
Where?
Charlotte's Web. Like,
Let's go there. Oh yeah, I've been to a lot of fairs during the summer, county fair. So yes, I'm with you.
so I don't know why. Maybe because I have special memories of reading that book aloud with my learning community.
Yeah.
Okay, a colorful embroidery patch in the shape of a pig, right? And I wanted to say
Hmm.
instead of colorful, I'm going to go with a colorful pink embroidery patch in the shape of a pig, right? And maybe I keep it that simple with a transparent background, right? This
Hmm.
is a good starting point because, again, this AI prompt could be as simple or as sophisticated as you want it to be. That Chicago skyline, the cardinal, the purple flowers, of course, bringing in those state elements. For me, oh my gosh, okay, adorable, adorable, adorable. And Martine, I noticed right away the picture is
Hmm.
a little bit big for the cropped image. So all I have
Hmm.
to do is click right into it and resize, right? And again,
Okay, and you got to show that again because for a
show it
lot of
again.
folks, I know that was really, really
Yep.
quick. Show us
Yep.
how you did that.
Okay. Again, I'm resetting to the starting point. Here I am. I need to mess with my image. I need to edit my image. I'm clicking on the picture of the pig. My image editor pops up, and I'm going to come back into my image generation editing tools. As I scroll down, this is
Hmm.
where I have all of those images that pop up. Now, Martine, I always click this button, generate more, because I want to see more options. I
I
want
love
to
that.
see all of these that pop up. Now, Wilbur was a creative, kind, sensitive, aware pig living on Zuckerman's farm, right? And so maybe just clicking through, I see different examples. Of course, folks can always go back and iterate with their prompt, add more detailed description. Maybe I want a pig standing on four legs, maybe colorful embroidery pig, right? So, oh my gosh, these are so cute, right? This looks like Wilbur is all dressed up,
That is
but
very cute.
oh my God,
I love
all of
it.
them.
I
Okay,
love it.
now, I know in my prompt I had a transparent background, and so you'll see I can mess with that and it will automatically delete that background. But folks, there is an ability to remove a background if needed. But Martine, I'm just going to come with one of these that has like the outline of the head, right? And when I double click, you see I have additional editing tools. The size of the
Hmm.
image can be changed. When I click once, I have the outline that allows me to continue to like stretch, move. I can scale, I can rotate. So maybe I kind of just begin to play with the size of my image right there. And in the book, I don't remember Wilbur having all the like fanciful decorations. That's okay. I
Oh,
think this is adorable.
you missed that part of the story was an extension of it where he went and won a bunch of different fairs. So one
Yeah.
of them was, of course, they got to face paint Wilbur.
Oh, oh my God. I love that. That is the creative writing extension beyond this task, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Friends, just to show you again, notice I'm hovering over the different elements. I have a couple other things I want to update. So maybe the text over here, it says this represents me because I'm from Illinois. Well, maybe I want to actually speak about the character. So, Wilbur from Charlotte's Web is my favorite character because let's see, can I type and talk at the same time, right? And again, you customize the text. Former first grade teacher, sentence frames, anchor charts, environmental print, or let your students independently write and update the content, right? And then one of the cool things I want to talk about is the text. So, Martine, this is
Hmm.
also AI generated text effects, which we have as a feature inside of the product. And you'll notice this one, I've clicked on it, and you see I can generate text effects. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
says white embroidered patch. And I love that it's as simple as looking literally like the embroidery where that name was custom embroidered on of this patch. And when you really like zoom in, you can see the details of it. It's really kind of remarkable, like the individual,
Yes.
the thread, the way that it's designed is so cool. So it's as simple for this one. I'm going to update. Notice the text will automatically update, keeping the kind of text effect that they want. And then I'm going to just kind of mess with the size and resize it as this like pops over to that updated imagery. So, Martine, this. This is just one way folks can use that creative, create these custom embroidery, the custom patches. We talked about
Hmm.
identity patches. We've talked about phonics patches. We talked about literary analysis pages. You talked about like the characters in my brain. What I was preparing to do was historical eras and go to an
Uh-huh.
ancient civilization. And I was envisioning
Oh,
the prompt
oh.
to be like a young pharaoh walking through an Egyptian marketplace with the pyramids in the background. But I think this speaks to how simple or how sophisticated this project could be. And one of the last things I want to share is how simple it is to begin to even kind of begin to change the coloring or add different visuals. This background embroider, you can change the effects or the tones, or you could even eliminate that, add your own custom background, leverage those Adobe stock photos in the media,
Hmm.
upload your own photo, generate an image, etc. Martine, I would extend this, by clicking over into an animated character, going in front
Yes.
of that little mouth and speaking from first person perspective. So that's my demo. I want
I
to keep plenty of time to get into yours, but y'all, Whether you're talking about creative communication, or whether you're talking about computational thinking, or whether you're talking about being a knowledge constructor, any possibility, but it could be as simple as sharing who you are, celebrating unique identities, and introducing yourself to your classroom. Pop it into your gallery, celebrate it, showcase it, download it, print it out, tell your principal you want to put it on the bulletin board in the office or out in like the display board. Tons of possibilities. And again, one last reminder, you are going to see this monthly creative challenge be updated. But currently, if you want to get started, you go right into the guided activities and you look for that create your community quilt and have fun with it.
I love this, Anne. I'm like, um, as you were speaking, it's like, oh, I have an idea, and I started doing my own. As you were speaking, it was like, oh, this is so much fun. But once again, it's it's an activity with so many different
Yeah,
levels
yeah,
because once again, I always go back is why do we do the stuff that we do
yeah,
and talk about building skill sets, right?
yeah,
Whether it's an ancient character, whether it's a literary character, or it's a concept,
yeah.
a science concept that, I always tell folks is for the very first time, many kids are able to see their ideas come to life
Well, yep,
and in so many different modalities. But in education, one of the things that we got to do, and is we got to show, the growth of learning. And when I think about this, I always say, well, you know what, folks? I think it's time for us to figure out different ways that everyone can learn. So I am going
yeah.
I am going to share, how do we do that? And one of the things that I'm always looking at is, well, these are, I mean, once you get your kids involved in developing these things, there's going to have to be a place for you to showcase their work. Now,
Yeah.
Anne just showed you galleries, but what if we want to see a single student's work over time, right? So this is where we come in. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am starting from the very top here. I'm going to just move my stuff over so I can see you all better. Over there we go. And I'm going to go back to our favorite corner in guided activities. Now, in guided activities, one of the new activities is setting up a class portfolio. Now, I want you to think, yes, we're calling it class portfolio. It could be a learning journal. It
Mm,
could be a collection. And I always say this, and it's like, as for teachers, have your portfolio, the elements that you
yeah.
want, but also allow the students to create their own portfolio of the stuff that they care about.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just talking about school, I'm also talking about their personal activities as well,
Yep.
whether it's sports, whether it's art, whether it's music, whatever that might be. Um, and that's what we're going to get into today, ladies and gentlemen. So we are back in guided activities, and the one that we are going to play with today is right up here, and it says set up a class portfolio. Now, I cannot tell you of how many different projects or portfolios I've done in my career, but what I love about this is now for the very first time, our students don't need to be, absolute coders to make things look great,
Yeah.
right? So, in building a portfolio, you can call it a website if you like, but that's what it is. And like every other guided activity, you're going to have the very same thing. So you have, of course, your learn section, you have your videos that can take you step by step. And of course, you have all the wonderful stuff in here. But because of time, I'm going to knock that out. But once again, just a reminder, if you need it back, you can click on it up here. Okay, so that is there to bring you back. But so how did we begin? And what we're doing here is we're starting off with a template. Can you create one on your own? The answer is yes. We'll show you that in a moment. But for now, I just want to show you just, how do you even access this? How do you build upon this, right? So on here, just like everything else in Adobe Express is really, really simple. So I'm going to eliminate that and I'm going to put my name on it, your students' names on it. And I'm just going to change this up. Learning portfolio. So of course you can change it up, have it however you like. And oh, this is the fun thing about having so many uh programs going on at the same time.
I
All
think
right.
it's the fun thing about talking and typing at the same time.
Yes. And for a lot of you are like, oh, well, this is great. This is cute. I love the background, but is there a way that I can add, on my own? And the answer is yes. So what you do, so first of all, just to give you the layout for those of you who have never played, because this does look a little different than the other tools that we have. But if you scroll down, you are going to see all the different other elements that we have in here, right? And so I'm going to show you how you can edit all this and make it your own. Because as you're going to find out every time you scroll down, you're going to encounter these little plus signs. So we're going to get into all that, and then I'm going to show you some examples of some amazing work that students have done. So first and foremost, I'm going to go up here, and you're like, okay, this is great. But if you click on the actual photo, you're going to get these options down here. So you can, of course, change the focal point of whatever image you have in here. You can replace it, you can delete it. And here's my favorite part. We can have this as a short cover. So if you don't want a very long picture, once again, it's all about style, but we allow you to do that. I'm going to go back to the cover to make it longer, or you can do a split layout. Totally up to you, right? This is where the fun begins. But
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to replacing this, right? Because I like this, but at the same time, I'm like, I might want something different. So if you click on replace, you have the ability once again to use any of Adobe's photo stock collection. Now, I'm going to stop there because some people might not know this. The stock collection that you have in here that your students and yourself have access to is one of the largest collections in the world that is K-12 guardrailed. So if you're like, Martina, I love your hand signals like you're dancing, but what does K-12 guardrail mean? And when we say K-12 guardrail, what do we mean?
I love this. It's so meaningful too for K2 or for K-12. This means it is designed responsibly, safe, a filtered experience for K-12. The example that I always use, Martine, is like if
Mhm.
students are doing perhaps an ocean habitat project and they type in a killer whale, that word killer will be flagged and will not be allowed to be used. We would go back to scientific language, orca, black and white whale,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
So the words that students might take creative liberty to try and use will be caught in educational filters in this experience. So it's filtered, designed responsibly. And what I say is not giving them the extent of the internet, but that curated K-12 designed responsibly experience.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. So that's part of the component. But in here, you're going to have, different ways of doing this, right?
Mm.
So once again, what did I do? I clicked on that. I said I wanted to replace the photo. And then here, once again, we talked about Adobe Photo Stock. So whatever you can think of, we more than likely have a photo for it. So I'm going to give you an idea about my idea. So every time I do this, I like the word idea because idea means that's the beginning of creativity, right? And I love the fact that I can scroll really quick and there's so many great ones. But I might say, oh, I'm really digging this one that I just finished seeing at the top, this one up here, where the light bulb is going off.
Love it.
And that's the idea because that's where my brain starts and then it flies everywhere. And what you're going to notice is these are professionally created. So once again, you don't want your students to go out into the wild, into the interwebs, and bring back photos with, it could be other
Anything.
people's logos and,
That
very
copyright
blurry
aspect. Yeah.
copyright. There's just
Yeah.
so much stuff.
Yep.
And just understand that you can come here at any time and select any one of these. And of course, you're going to get some professional stuff. But like everything else, right? Maybe there's just something that you wanted to portray. So up here at the top, what do we have? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have generative image. So we can click on generative image and we can come up with our own idea for our background. So what I like to do, and I'm just gonna go ahead and since I love text to type, a multicolored modern school with multicolor swirls of creativity with the San Jose Silicon Valley city landscape in the background. A lot, right? But I love doing that. And I got to tell you, every time I say swirl, sometimes my machine doesn't really hear me out, and I get squirrels flying around.
Okay, as that's generating, I just have to say, you blew my mind the first time I ever saw you do that, but I always am inspired to include like a rainbow swirly twirly like element because look at this stunning, this is like the visual representation of like creativity to me. That's the best prompt. I love it. But when you include the city or location or event location, brilliant.
hmm Yeah, but it could be what we're talking about, going back to the community quilt. You can say the time, the
Yep,
period, the town, the landscape, the literary
yep,
component,
yeah.
space, the final frontier, whatever it is. So once you select something, you can of course refresh it. You can do a variety of different things. So I always like to say that Adobe will meet you wherever you and your students are. And
I
if you want
kind
to
of
be
wish you got
simple,
squirrels.
yeah. That's the director's cut. You might see that later on. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on apply. And when you click on apply, you're going to see that. And now it's like, oh, yeah, now we're talking, right? Now we're talking. So that is something that I like. But when we scroll down, this is, a portfolio can help you show. So you can do all this wonderful things, right? So I'm going to say, this is a portfolio of my photography class. Remember how I said that, yes, everybody should have their portfolio for their class, but also allow your students to have their portfolio of the things that they're proud about, right? So we're just gonna stay there. And what you're going to see as you scroll down, you're always going to see these little pluses. So you can always embed stuff in here. So you can embed a photo, you can embed more text, a button, a GIF, right? Videos, photo grid, grid slideshow, split layout, and your stuff, which means your stuff that you have created before. For example, and if I click on, oh, well, I'm gonna do that in a moment, but I'm gonna go down here first, right? So how do we change this, right? So right here we can add. So I'm gonna say my first project was my community quilt,
Oh yeah, and as
right?
you're typing that too, I just want to say I love that this specific guide example that didn't even come out right. I didn't say guided. This specific guided activity literally gives you the prompt for how to fill out each section. So add some text here to what did you learn? Did you practice new skills? Those guiding questions, literally setting students up for success as they're designing this.
I love that. I love that. All right. So when you're doing this, this is what we call a split layout. And just so you know, the techniques in the back, this little guy in the middle allows you to switch it out. It all depends on the flow of
Yeah,
your site, of your learning journal. What I'm
yeah.
going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to click on this. And at the bottom, every time you click on any of the pictures on the template, you're going to see this little banner pop up. So of course you can change the focal point or you can click on replace. So once again, I'm going to click on replace. And this time around, right? So of course we can either do something from there, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something a little different, right? Because I know, for example, if I come up here and click on this plus sign, I can add a photo, text, a button, a GIF, video, or your stuff. I'm gonna click on my stuff because in a few short seconds, I just need to add an extra 25 cents to the internet machine.
Get
And
my
there it is.
fingers for you. Hey!
I'm gonna go ahead and add my own personal quilt. Now, as you can see, my personal quilt, I went with the whole literary side. And one of my favorite books of all times is Maurice Sendeck's Where the Wild Things Are. So you see the boy arriving at the island, and I didn't get to finish my text, but my text was still in that pattern, but it was all island stuff because that's
That's
where
so
all the magic.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I love this, but what did I call this? I call this my what? My portfolio photography class, right? So if I want to keep within the theme, I'm going to replace this. I'm going to go here and I'm just going to type in camera because camera can mean a variety of things now because the reality, a snapshot, that means your computer can be a camera now. A camera is your phone. And if you want to have fun, your glasses can be your camera as well. Ready? Everybody wave. Good, good. And I just took a picture. There we go. So I love the fact that our students can now really customize this in whichever way they want to. Now, this upcoming up next, what you see the picture here. You see, of course, that piece of text gliding up. This is called a glide show.
They're so
Now,
gorgeous. They're so gorgeous.
they are amazing, and it gives your what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on this little eyeball, and that little eyeball gives you a preview of what your learning journal, your website is going to look like at the very end, or what your audience will see. And what I love that I do that, so when I scroll down, this is what people are going to see. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
this looks really, really good. But I need to change this up to match with this because once again, this is my portfolio, my photography class. So um, I'm going to go down here, and what I'm going to do with this very first large picture, I'm going to click on it. Oh, did I get out of it?
You did.
Yes,
You
I did.
clicked out.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So once I click on it, of course get to move this up and down, delete, but I'm going to go here to where it says edit photos because these are a list of photos that is going to appear in your glide show. So as you can see, we have three, together. So what I'm going to do is like, okay, for this first one, once again, I can choose a camera if I like, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload from my device because I want you to see that photos can come from anywhere because there's a photography class. More than likely, your students are going to have their very own photos. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go into a folder that I like to call road trip because my kiddo and I did a really cool road trip this summer, and it was all about movie making, right? So I like to start off and see if I can find it. It's right here, and it's this one, right? Because this was the beginning of our journey. And he was so excited about what was about to come in. Now, I'm adding these all the way, but the reality is, as you can see, I can move these around. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yep.
every time you click on any picture, you have the ability to move them around. So if I wanted this next, and there we go. So I can delete these as well. So if I only want three, delete
It's so
that.
intuitive. I know too, as we're getting ready to wrap this up, like thinking about educators creating this, literally the hover exposes all of the like tools that you can edit, how you can, the buttons to click, to rearrange, to drag and drop. Like it's so awesome to just be able to see the workflow too, but how intuitive is look for those plus signs or hover over something.
But what I want to do, so these were just the mechanics at the end, but what can students create? What does it
Yeah.
look like, right? And I have two examples I want to share. So this is from our friend Jeff Heil in his class in San Diego. So Jab Master Jay, if you're listening, thank you for sharing. And this is one of his students. This is Maya. So this is a people of the world and U.S. history. So once again, we're going back to that whole thing. This can go in different ways, but it is her journal. And she won an award for this wonderful thing, right? So in here, Maya developed also video. Just going to take a quick view of this. So I want you to start thinking that your students can also embed the video of, sort of that explainer of what's going on in their portfolio. Oh, I didn't turn on the sound.
Next school. The People, World, and U.S. History project highlights significant BIPOC, women, and LGBTQ plus people from history, like artists, activists, and people who are not always highlighted in the typical history text. My goal was to show how their work and actions impacted society. It includes their achievements, personal reflections, and quotes to show how their legacy still inspires us today. Using a graphic organizer, I researched each person's contribution to history, who their contribution had the greatest impact on, and connected them to at least 3 other significant historical people by time, geography.
So just wanted you to see how amazing that is. Not only did she create this, but then her explanation of the why behind it, right? And as we see here, this is a split view. I'm just showing you the back end, another split view with navigation, with, photos and text, another grid view, right? So I love this project because it shows you all the different elements of putting in a learning journal. This next one that I have is, of course, about, a natural problem. So I want you to think about, those kids who are doing the project-based learning, the design thinking, especially upper grades. What does a project like that look like? And I want you to see here that they took an example about why water is so important for a certain location in a part of our world. And they talk about humanize it and of the why, right? Which is really great because sometimes doing a regular book report, just a writing report might not get to all the elements that they need in order for them to share that. And what I love about this is the pictures. They're like photo essays in themselves. They tell a different part of the story. And as you can see here, this takes up all of my screen, which I can see different elements than if I just had a very small picture. So I want you to think about how the creative process for your students can dramatically affect what their storytelling is, and also the different modalities that they can show you of what they know. So I love these
Wow.
examples, and once again, both of these are learning journals, and so
Yeah.
that to me was the amazing part when I saw this. But anyways,
Yeah.
so much good stuff in here. But once again, if you're like, okay, Martin, this is great, but once again, where did you get this? It's all in your guided activities, ladies and gentlemen. So when you first link up to Adobe Express, you're going to click on guided activities, and we're looking at this one of setting up a class portfolio. And just a reminder, once again, you might thinking, Martin, that was great, but you went a little fast. No worries, because we have the learning guide
Yep.
right here ready for you to roll.
Yep. Oh,
And I
gosh.
know there's other information that we have to share.
Such good stuff. Listen, I think that if we want to pull my screen up, we have maybe a minute and just say to the folks who are listening in, thank you for tuning in. We are here as a layer of
Yes,
support.
yes.
All of those guided activities are ready for you. And on screen, we have back to school kits ready for you. Whether you're preparing your space, planning for the first few days, or getting ready for back to school night, definitely check out those links. You can scan the QR codes or notice the short links on the right side. Martine, thanks for the design inspo. We
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
you all took new ideas and inspiration, but hope you feel empowered and empower your students as creators this school year and beyond. So we'll see you out there. Thanks for tuning in. Martine, I loved that. Class portfolios, community
Right?
clips. Doesn't get any better than that to kick off the year. All right,
Love
y'all.
it.
Have a good
Thank you
one.
all.
Thank you.